Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Things Private Practice podcast. I am joined today by a good friend, colleague, repeat guest, Blaise Harris, who is an EMDR-certified licensed mental health counselor, a former firefighter with over 14 years of service as a first responder, and is the founder and the owner of 𝘁𝗸𝗄 Consulting and Counseling Services. Harris has a passion for helping others and hopes to end the stigma surrounding mental health amongst first responders and in the Black community. Blaise hosts a bi-weekly podcast called The Dope Black Therapist, where he shares practices, tools, coping mechanisms, and addresses issues regarding mental health. Blaise is also an international speaker now and the author of Becoming the Dope Black Therapist. And I named all that stuff because you did not name this when you were speaking in Scotland. I was like, y'all, Blaise has a podcast. He's got a book.
Man, and it's so wild because like you're not the only person who calls me out on that. I have a friend who I grew up with by the name of Ty, and she says, Blaise, say it all. Say it all. And I'm like, but I'm supposed to be humble. I'm supposed to not brag. And so, but then, you know, since Scotland, though, I have been taking your advice and Ty's advice, and it's just like, it's not bragging, especially if you earned it. And, you know, a lot of people who have these accolades feel like they still have to play small, and so they won't take up too much space. And I think I'm finally at a point where I'm not afraid to take up space.
I love that. I love that because so many people can benefit from your voice and your message. Mm. And I told you this after Scotland, that I thought you were one of the best speakers at the event. I'll name it publicly on a recorded version. So that's just the truth. I never, you know, I did not expect to have to go after someone who was going to both sing and rap on page. And I was like, oh, fuck, I do not have that charisma at all.
Dude, I didn't expect to be between two damn powerhouse speakers who have experience of them speaking overseas and international like y'all either. I was sitting there struggling like hell. Like, what am I going to do?
You did a phenomenal job. The way you just make things relatable is is such an incredible strength that a lot of people don't have, because a lot of people, when they feel like maybe some of that insecurity creeping in or that self-doubt or that imposter syndrome, they default to like being really clinical heavy, or like, I need to go really heavy on the knowledge right now. And I think there's a place for that. But the reality is most people really resonate with the relatable, authentic aspects of people's journeys. And you've got a fascinating one. Like, I never heard some of the stuff you shared when you were up on stage in Scotland, and like just acknowledging some of the struggle that you've come through to get to where you are now and how open and vulnerable you are publicly about. I think that is just like role modeling 101, and my hat is definitely off to you.
Thanks, man. I think it's one of those things where it was really scary being authentic because I didn't know how it was going to be received.
Sure.
You know, and I think that's a big problem that a lot of people run into, especially it's like, you know, hey, we're mental health counselors and licensed professional counselors and therapists and whatever. We're supposed to carry ourselves in a certain way, you know, and that's not me. I'm not clinician dialect heavy when it comes to certain things. I keep it real with people because I think that's what people appreciate the most. Now, I will throw some clinical terms and stuff in there from time to time, but at the same time, I also am able to relate it to the people that I'm talking to so they can actually understand it, you know, and I think that's a superpower. And I think that is one of those things where a lot of therapists, especially new ones, feel like they have to be able to quote the DSM-5 and everything front to back. And I'm like, you know, I can't do that. I still got to look at the book to be sure I get the right diagnosis when I'm going through here.
100%. Me too. I mean, I just preach it, you know, like I think I said this earlier today on a different episode, but relatability equals accessibility. And if you understand who you're trying to speak to and help and support, you have to match that vibe. You have to be able to be relatable. You cannot get really clinical jargon heavy where most people don't even know what 95% of those fucking words mean.
Exactly. And that's another thing. in grad school, you know, we're taught certain ways to speak and certain things we had to approach our clients. And one of my professors, when we're doing our meetups, I would cuss in our sessions, you know, with my other students.
Yep.
And there's like, he was like, don't cuss.
Yep.
I'm like, what? I'm amongst my colleagues and classmates, and I still have to be prim and proper when I'm doing this?
Yep.
And he said, well, people aren't going to take you seriously. And my thought process was, I want to work with firefighters, police, EMS, and dispatchers.
Right.
Cussing is our, you know, that's our first language. Regular English is our second language, you know? And that's how we speak amongst each other. That's how we know, that's how we put emphasis on the story. That's how we put emphasis on a call that we write or whatever. And the people that I want to speak with, that's how they speak. So I'm going to speak as if I'm speaking to them. And and the one time I went and I was clinical and I was like, yes. How does it make you feel? My client looked at me. This is why I was an intern. He was looking at me like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, what happened to you?
What the hell is wrong with you? And it's like, no, I don't like this. Go back.
Yeah.
And since then, that's how I speak. And I think when I tell people, even when I do consultations, they're, excuse me, pardon, I didn't mean to curse. I said, man, you say what you want to say, how you want to say it. You're not going to say anything that's going to make me clutch my pearls. You know, if you're a saint, be a saint. If you cuss like a sailor, cuss like a sailor. I'm going to listen either way. And you should see their shoulders drop. It's like, oh God, thank you.
I know. Right. And it's like, okay, now I know I can be myself. And now I know that I can be vulnerable, because otherwise I'm too in my head trying to think about how you want me to respond and how to interact in this environment. And I know, honestly, like as someone who looks like me, I don't really have to worry about what I say very often. But I know what you shared in Scotland was like, when you went for a promotion in the fire department, you were told like, you're too like, what did they say? You're too cocky or too arrogant?
Yeah, they told me I was cocky and overconfident.
That's it. Yeah.
And that plays in my head every time I speak, every time I try to put myself out there for a workshop or submit a proposal for any type of thing. That always plays in my head. Blaise, you're too cocky, you're too overconfident. And me being cocky and overconfident was because I was rapping and singing during my lessons. Right. You know, and that's was too much for a lot of people. Sure. But when I was prim and proper and I toned it down a little bit and I came with examples and props for my lesson, I got a job. Right. You know, it was in a different department. Sure. And, you know, because I thought that they would hear the same thing. Yeah. The reality was they allowed me to be my authentic self because they saw what I could do and saw what I was bringing. Sure. And the fact that I had so much personality, the fact that I had so much energy and had no problem speaking in front of people or working with kids or working with older folks or whatever, teaching them how to be safe when it came to fire. Right. They appreciated that, you know, sure. And we thrived because of that. You know, the program was already excellent. I just added to the excellence. Right. You know, and I was added to the excellence because I was Blaise. I love that. The program was already excellent and I added to its excellence. You got so many good one-liners. But you're absolutely right. So by being your authentic self and being able to just be you, I imagine that you are such a great fucking employee where it was like, this has got to be someone we need as a part of our team. And I think we do better work when we are able to be ourselves. I think that we prevent a lot of burnout when we are able to be ourselves. I think we are more relatable. Like the list goes on and on and on. And I think there's so much like gatekeeping and tone policing in the mental health profession in general. I mean, you just mentioned you're an EMDR-certified therapist, right? So you've had to go through the consultation programs and the training programs. There's a lot of gatekeeping in training programs in general about like how you can show up, what's okay, what's not okay. And that's one of those things is like, I think if we want to change those spaces, we actually have to be in those spaces.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that is, again, that's scary to do. It's because of so many people who have been doing it for so long and who have like who have a chokehold on what's supposed to happen, you know, and how it's supposed to happen and whatnot. So, and that's one of those things that, you know, I'm trying to, you know what, let me stop saying trying. What I am doing is putting myself in those spaces where, yes, I'm uncomfortable as hell.
Sure.
And there's always going to be, am I good enough for this? You know, and I put I'm a consultant and training through, approved consultant and trainer through EMDR for MD consultation. And I put my first group out. It's coming up on Sunday. I already got 4 people signed up. I'm like, holy shit.
That's amazing.
Right. And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? You know, and so, but the goal eventually is to be able to teach EMDR.
Sure.
You know, to be able to teach in these programs and stuff, you know, I know that I don't know very many Black male EMDR instructors. If I know any.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't know any off the top of my head.
You know, but I know a lot of brothers who do EMDR.
Right.
You know, but it's like we kind of get to that part and we stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those things is just like we stop because it's okay, I'm comfortable right here.
For sure.
I'm trying to be uncomfortable. I'm trying to be uncomfortable enough so when the challenges and everything do arise, okay, I can handle this. It's a lot like when I was a firefighter. Okay, I might not know everything, but I know the basics and I can handle whatever comes my way.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to be that same way when it comes to EMDR consultations and when it comes to, you know, speaking, when it comes to planning these workshops. I have the basic foundation to be successful in this thing. So as uncomfortable as I am, I'm going to keep working this bitch until I'm comfortable at it.
Hell yeah. I think anchoring into that is important, you know, foundationally. Say, you know, I know I'm comfortable enough to be proficient at this. I also know that I'm going to work my ass off to be really fucking good at this. And I think we often forget like how many people are just really bad at their jobs or like things that they achieve. But the difference between a lot of us and them is like they're willing to just put themselves out there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm like, I'll watch like certain speakers, I'll listen to certain podcasts, I'll watch certain trainers or just in general. And I'm like, this is so bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't seem to care one iota.
No. And it's like they can, they could be mediocre as hell and still do good things. And here we are, dope as hell and afraid to take up space because this mediocre person is in the front saying that you should.
Yep.
And I think that stifles a lot of us. Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right when you think about it that way. And you're like, wait, I've got some stuff to offer.
Yes.
I do some stuff really well, you know?
And that's the thing is, but again, it's that monster in the back of your head is talk so much shit and telling you that, oh, you ain't shit or you can't do this or you let, you know, that cocky and overconfident, like they told me, it continues to be a barrier at times where I'm trying to kick it in the face. And most days I do.
Sure.
At the same time, though, that voice can still be extremely loud, especially if you're going through some things and you're starting to worry and you're starting to, you know, have so many doubts. But like I said, I have a friend who told me, doubt yourself, do it anyway.
Sounds like a tool. You know, that's the same guy who must have subconsciously put you on the last day of the summit as a speaker for exposure therapy. So that you had to sit through the first 3 days and be like, oh man, I am really going to suck.
That was definitely what was going through my head. Well, God.
So when I was doing the Italy summit last year, I want to come back to what you said, but I don't want to lose this thought. Yeah. I was the last speaker. Some of it was probably ego of like, this is the event that I dreamed up. I'm going last. Yeah. Some of it was just because I like to absorb what's happening around me before I speak about something. That was the bigger portion of it. But I remember Unetta, our mutual friend, coming up to me behind the scenes on stage, and she was like, "Okay, so you're gonna suck, Everyone else has been really fucking good. It's understandable that you will easily be the worst one out of all 12 of us. So get up there. And I was just like, what the fuck? And I will be honest, it actually, like, because it was so unexpected, it really did help me in terms of how I like to just laugh at myself and make jokes about myself. It was like, oh, this is actually kind of nice. Like, this makes me feel a lot more calm. And so shout out to you, 𝘁𝗸𝗲, if you're listening. She did ask me if she could do that to me before my TEDx, and I was like, no, go away.
Absolutely not.
Right now, I really feel overwhelmed. Go away.
Yes.
Okay. Circling back to what you said. So you were saying, I just want to make sure I had it correct. When we were talking about doubting yourself, doing it anyway, and you do have to kind of embrace that mentality, right? And I think for you, when you're saying, like, when you're having a hard day, when your mental health is struggling, when something unexpected happens, that is really when that inner child wounding, that messaging, that trauma, that criticism, that self-doubt really starts to creep in, and it comes in fast.
Yes. And it's like a Mack truck driving, 115 with no barriers in place. And your car is sitting right there. And I was just like, oh God, no. But then it's just like, I got this, and it's like you said, absorbing all of the energy of the other speakers before you go on. That's exactly what was going on during that whole retreat. It seems like every speaker was talking directly to me. That was one of those things. It was, I missed the first few because of travel.
Yeah.
But when the ones that I heard was, show up as yourself.
Yep.
Be your authentic self, tell your story. The way that you tell your story and how you tell your story is going to attract the people it needs to attract and going to repel the other ones that you need to repel.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit. And it's like, holy shit, why are you cussing at me right now? But it's just like, that's what I needed to hear. And like hearing Dr. Dominique go on before me, and I've always watched her, but seeing her live was just like, bro, that is, oh my God. I'm energized, I'm magnetized. Let's go.
Yeah.
And let's do this, And then when it finally got up and you introduced me, I was like, oh shit. that's all that shit is gone. But it's just like, but as soon as I got the mic and you handed me the mic, everything disappeared.
Yeah.
All of that noise like vanished. It was like gone. And I was just like, I'm on. Let's get it popping.
I love that, because I thought you looked and felt so comfortable up there. Maybe you didn't, but just the beauty of podcasting from home is when my wife comes home and the dog is going nuts and I'm trying to drown it out. So anyway, were you comfortable?
Yes, I was. But at the same time, it's like I had like 100 pairs of eyes looking at me. And a lot of those eyes I didn't know. And, a lot of people knew who I was before. A lot of people still had no clue what was going on.
Yep.
And it's always nerve-wracking until I start speaking. And then if I make somebody laugh, then I was like, okay, I got him now.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I got that. That joke landed. Yep. That joke landed in the film. Yeah. So, and it went really well. And, I have another 𝘁𝗸𝗲 story. She told me when I sat down and, I was, had a couple of books and I was getting ready to give them out. She's like, if I could smack you, I would. I said, why?
Yeah.
I was like, for what reason? And she was like, Blaise, you did a phenomenal job. You're an excellent speaker. Yep. Why would you be scared?
Yep.
And I was like,
that's so funny. Like, 𝘁𝗸𝗲, if you're listening to this, and I hope you fucking are, like all of the times that I had to console her throughout the last year of like, you're good enough to be the keynote. Like, your stuff, 𝘁𝗸𝗲. Yeah. It's amazing how much we can support one another, but how hard it can be to sometimes see the best version of ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I tell people all the time, it's like, we're so used to the negative self-talk and the negative actions and all of those things. That's like our norm. It's the chaos. We're used to the chaos. Yep. Give me the chaos every time. I can do that. And then it's just like, when you start to, to walk in your greatness, it's like, that's when the discomfort comes in. It's like,
Yep.
No.
Yep.
And I'm not supposed to this. Something's supposed to be wrong. And so we try to, it's like we almost self-sabotage before we start doing the thing, instead of just like, this is how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a smooth road. It's not supposed to have potholes and shit all in your damn way. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be smooth as shit when you're trying to get to where you go. Yeah, there's gonna be some curves, there's gonna be some hills, there's gonna be some valleys and stuff. But at the same time, the shit is still fucking smooth.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, 100%. And I think like, I almost want to say like the more we put ourselves in these positions, the more we put ourselves through that discomfort, the easier it becomes. And some of that is kind of true. But then there are so many extenuating factors that we don't have control over that can really create the opposite effect, or rattle us or make us feel otherwise. Like, and for you, I hope, this is my hope, is that you continue to put yourself out there. You continue to submit to different conferences, to different places to speak, because you have a gift, and I think people need to hear it. And, I just think that when we acknowledge that in other people, and they're still struggling with self-doubt and imposter syndrome or perfectionism, it's like you want to shake them. It's like, oh my God, I feel like the world needs to hear your story. And then it's like, oh man, that was shit. So I just want to say that. And also, man, like, I think relationships are everything. And had we not met in person in Portugal, I don't know if we meet again in Scotland, because I didn't really know you. I had, I saw your name pop up in some North Carolina Facebook groups, but I had no idea who you were.
Right.
To just be able to sit and talk with you and just listen to you speak and just see how you are so supportive of other people. I was like, this dude is amazing. Like, he really needs to be on some of these circuits. And I think that's also helpful when that really harsh inner critic shows up, is we need our supports. We need our accountability partners. We need the people who are in our corner, who are like, not today. We're not allowing that shit to happen today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy about these, like, and by the retreats, but also just being in the groups where I get to see everybody else do the things as well.
Yeah.
I still speak with several of the folks who I met on that trip to Portugal, and we still encourage each other, on so many different levels, and even from Scotland, the connections that I made there, it's like, people's like, hey, let's do this. Let's collab on this. Let's make this stuff happen. And so many opportunities are presenting themselves, because I have taken what I've learned from everyone there, and I'm actually applying it instead of sitting on it.
Absolutely.
And just like letting it gather dust. And I'm actually utilizing every tool that I've gotten from those people. And that's made ways for opportunities. I applied for 3 conferences a couple of weeks ago. One of them already got it. Yeah, man. I got one of them. I got confirmed already for one of them. So,
congratulations,
so that's great. So I'm excited about that,
Got to use that momentum to keep it going too.
Yeah.
And to those of you listening, it really is, it's daunting to submit the application. It's daunting at the proposal. There's a lot of vulnerability in putting yourself out there. There's vulnerability in rejection, and it is a part of the process. And it really is about like continuing to remind yourself that you do know what you're talking about, that you are confident, that you are competent, that you belong there, and you deserve to take up space. And I think that it has to be a constant reminder, especially when things feel like a struggle, when things feel heavy, when it's like easier to just say, I can't do this. This application is too hard. I feel too overwhelmed by the potential of getting a yes. That can be really scary too.
And that's
yes, then I got to do it.
Then I got to do it. It's like, and I can't sit here and wait on it either. It's like, I got to get to this thing now and start working. But then it's like, once you start doing the work though, you start to see, I do understand this. I do know this.
Yeah.
I do have this. I can break this thing down. And it's you start to allow that leader, that badass that's inside of you to come out, instead of, making him or her or them play small.
Yeah.
You are allowing yourself to be that authentic you, because it's you in this presentation. It's you who the people are going to see. It's you who is going to leave that lasting impact. And the dope part about it is you is dope. You is awesome. You are all of these things that you are afraid to be, regardless of if you want to utilize it or not. That's all inside you. You cannot change that.
No, that's really well said.
So
I think that's a really important reminder. It's a good mic drop moment for the end of this episode.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's your platform now to share what you've got going on. So we're going to list it in the show notes too, in case Blaise forgets anything on purpose.
I'm not going to forget it on purpose. I'm going to list it all. The Becoming the Dope Black Therapist is available on Amazon. You can get your copy of that already. I am going to be speaking at the Clinicians Connection Conference in Virginia Beach of April 30th to May 1st of 2026. So I'm super excited about that.
Hell yeah.
I am working with several local groups around here, working with BIPOC men, trying to teach them how to address their mental health and not be afraid to address it.
Yep.
Working with an event with victims of domestic violence and talking about how to not be afraid of dating or getting back out there in the world and showing what a healthy relationship can look like. I'm super excited about that one. And just my men's group is on hold right now because my son is doing he made the JV football team, so that's on hold. However, I am doing a community workout for BIPOC fathers and BIPOC men in general, where we are working on our physical and our mental fitness every Sunday. It's so dope, and I love doing that, and it grows every week. And then, the podcast is still going on. The podcast is available, comes out every other Sunday on Apple and Spotify and all these other podcast platforms that you got. And if you want to learn more, you could always check out my Instagram at _Dope Black Therapist. My YouTube page is growing as the Dope Black Therapist. And I'm on Instagram. I think that's it. Oh, and you can also visit thedopebblacktherapist.com if you want to book consultations for EMDR, if you want to book me for workshops or speaking engagements and all of that stuff as well. All of this stuff's available, so you can check all of that information out there.
Love it.
Think I got it.
I think you got it all, and we'll include all of that information in the show notes so that you have access to everything Blaise just listened. It's been a long day.
It has.
I appreciate you coming on, man, and making the time, and I really am rooting for you and every single thing that you do, and I'm really proud to call you a friend, and I'm really proud to see where this journey takes you over the next year or two.
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate you always. Thank you for your friendship and just for your encouragement, your constant and consistent encouragement. Thank you.
Nauseating, relating encouragement nonstop. And to everyone listening to All Things Private Practice, episodes are out on all major platforms and YouTube on Saturdays. Like, download, subscribe, share, doubt yourself, do it anyway.